Not long from now, nature has reclaimed our world, but humans are resilient and resourceful. Now we're building communities using what remains. This is Life in Reterra, a tile placement community rebuilding game for 2 to 4 players that plays in about 35 minutes. You'll place land tiles, buildings, and inhabitants to earn the most points and win. Here's what you'll find in this video. You can skip ahead to get what you're looking for. Let's start with setup. Each of these numbered trays holds a set of building tiles and the matching building cards, which can be mixed and matched. We'll get to that later. The first time you play, sort each building set into its tray. For your first game, use Set 1, Essentials, and put the rest away. To start, place the setup board in the center of your play space. This will keep everything neat and tidy as you play. These are building cards. They each correspond with a matching building tile and tell you everything you need to know about that tile. They're double-sided, and each side has a different power. For your first game, use the purple side of the cards. This is the power of the building. This is the number of gears you'll need to place it in your community. And this is its point value. This is important stuff, so make sure everyone takes a look. Now find the gear icons at the bottom of the setup board and place the building cards with the matching icons in those spots. Put the matching building tiles in the spaces above each card. Only fill the spaces up to the number of players you have. Today we have 3 players, so we're filling them up to the number 3. Now get out your inhabitants and junk/relic tokens. Hi friends! Keep them off to the side. These tokens are double-sided. This side is a relic, and this side is junk. For your first game, you'll only use the junk side. Now take out your land tiles. Find the ones with the Life in Reterra logo. These are your starter land tiles. Give one to each player. Shuffle the rest and deal each player 3, face down. Shh, these are your secret tiles. Don't show anyone. Then place 5 random land tiles face up in a row next to the setup board and stack up the rest. Here's the score pad. You won't use it yet, but it's helpful to have around. The player most likely to thrive in an apocalypse goes first. Decide amongst yourselves. Your goal is to earn the most points by adding buildings and inhabitants to your community. You'll each take turns adding to your communities until everyone has a community of 4 land tiles by 4 land tiles. Each turn is 4 steps. First, choose a land tile from the row or from your secret tiles. Land tiles are made up of terrain spaces and may have icons. These icons are gears. You'll need those to build. These icons are relics. They earn you points and interact with some buildings. This land tile has an energy source on it. At the end of the game, these are worth points, but only if surrounded by other land tiles, including other energy sources. Now add the land tile you chose to your community by placing it next to another land tile. You can rotate them however you want, and they must line up with the full edge of another land tile. Terrain spaces don't have to match up, but it'll help you later when you start building. Once you've placed a land tile, it's on to step 2, placing a building or an inhabitant. Buildings and inhabitants both go on gears, and during this step you may only place one or the other, not both. They must be placed on the tile you just put down. If you can't place either, or just don't want to, skip to step 3. To place a building, each space under the building must have a gear, and they must also be the same type of terrain. Inhabitants are worth 1 point. To place one, you only need 1 gear, and the terrain doesn't matter. Remember, during step 2, you can only place one or the other. For now, we're placing an inhabitant. Time for step 3. Use your building's powers. You'll only do this step if you have buildings in your community with powers that you use each turn, and powers start the turn after you place them. So if you just place the building, you'll start using its power on your next turn. Your neighbors are the players to your left and right. And if you use junk against them, there's nothing they can do to stop you or remove it. But you can't put junk on top of buildings or inhabitants. Sorry. Last, it's time for step 4, refill the land tile row. If you used a secret land tile this turn, don't refill. You only get the 3 you started with. And that's a turn. Now let's talk about the end of the game. Once everyone has finished their communities, it's time to score. First, terrain. Continuous segments of terrain are 7 or more spaces of the same terrain, and they're worth 3 points. This community has 3 terrain segments, so 9 points total. Second, energy sources. Remember, energy sources are only worth points if surrounded by other tiles. This community has one surrounded energy source worth 8 points. Third, relics. Relics are all worth 1 point. If they're covered, they aren't worth anything. This community has 7. If you're using relic tokens, score those the same way. Fourth, score your inhabitants. These friends are each worth 1 point, unless you have a building with a power that says otherwise. Fifth, buildings. Look at the building card for the value of a building. Sometimes this value will depend on other things, like this public square. Since this community's largest segment is 13 spaces, it's worth 13 points. Finally, junk. Subtract 1 point for each junk token in your community. And that's your final score. The player with the highest score wins. Life in Reterra includes 3 starter building sets, as well as a collection of curated sets for different game experiences, which you can find in the game guide. Once you get the hang of things, you can mix and match to create your own. When creating your own set, you don't have to use the same side for each card. You just need 2 types of 2-space buildings, 2 types of 3-space buildings, and 1 type of 4-space building. Write your favorite custom sets in the game guide. That's all you need to know to start building your communities. Check out the game guide for more details. Thanks for watching.